Breathe.
She belongs to the street.
What's good, everybody? This is Chaos Rain here, and welcome to another stream, another edition here at the Chaos Rain Show. As you know, if you're new to the Chaos Rain Show, welcome to my channel. Welcome. And for future people that will subscribe, welcome for future subscribers. And like always, you know the drill, how to subscribe to the channel. You hit that red button and you hit the top notification bell for uploads and live streams here on the Chaos Rain Show. You can also follow me on many social media links. One, you can follow me on Twitter at ChaosRain7. You can add me as a friend on Facebook, Eric Rain on Facebook. Follow me on what we call Rumble. I'm on Rumble as well. Not much content, but please just hit the follow button. I'm going to have more to come. So follow me on Rumble. And also join the Discord service of the Chaos Rain Show. I think those are all the links for now. And like always, support the channel. I will put the donation tab in time. But meanwhile, please, like anything, likes are free. Hit the like button. Don't be scared. You see that nice little thumbs up, take your finger and hit that like button. And also share the stream, because sharing is caring as well. So no further ado, to not hold up your time, I welcome back and bring back actually the new, but y'all familiar with him, the one and only DDerell, or I should call Coach DDerell. What's good, DDerell?
What's up, brother? How are you doing today?
I'm good. I am good. I'm good. Okay. DDerell, before we begin, and I'll give you guys the title in a second. I'll have to run the video so you could get a more syntax. The video has been going around, and normally I could show the other video from the one brother that had an interview with the dude, but that would be taking too long. As you know, I did a breakdown on it. If you could recall the video that the brother Mr. Daniels had with this man, the scoop is he gave his more take on what he does, what he does. But before then, I want to give people a nice little reminder. So no further ado, people, I'm going to play the video for those for content, so y'all familiar. Where is this bean footage? Let me find it here. All right, so here we go.
7 kids and 7 baby mamas. Now, for the past few days, I've been going live, telling my story, speaking my truth. And a lot of women having an issue calling me a deadbeat because I tell them I was being irresponsible, not wearing protection. But I always tell these women that I got pregnant that I do not want to be a father to these children. And I offer to pay for the abortion. Majority of times, they'll either take the abortion or they'll take a plan B. But only these 7 have kept these children. But the crazy thing about it is they want me to be responsible for some children I told them I did not want. So for some years now, some of them been trying to get in contact with me, access denied. Because I don't really know why you trying to get in contact with me. I done told you I them kids. So don't expect me to be responsible financially, emotional, spiritually, mentally, or physically with some kids I do not want. And I don't give a fuck what nobody think about it. You're not going to force children up on me. Yeah, we both made the decision to lay down and have intercourse. We both was irresponsible about the decisions we made that night. Yeah, I could have pulled out, but I didn't. And I ain't care to pull out because I'm not the one that's going to have to carry a baby for 9 months. It's the woman. In my opinion, women should be more careful on who they sleep with. Because you're going to be like, one of my baby mamas trying to find me so I can financially support a kid I done told her or them I did not want. Another thing is, these just jump offs. These the type of women that I ain't even had to do nothing for. The bare minimum, but they gave me access to their body and they think I want to be a father to a child for one of them? Like, I don't even have no type of love for these women. How do they expect me to love these children? Before y'all say, oh, he irresponsible, he a deadbeat, he don't take accountability. Yeah, I do. I just don't give a fuck. You ain't gonna force these children on me when I told you I ain't want them. Yeah, I can offer to pay for abortion, but at what point can I force a woman to go get an abortion? I cannot. A woman say, my body, my choice, but I say, it's my life, my choice. Before y'all try to stitch this shit and be like, black man this, black man that, I don't give a fuck.
Wow, what
All right,
the
that's
hell?
That's it. Was that your first time watching, or you didn't really watch and got?
I
more
heard
time?
about it, but I never watched it in its entirety.
Oh damn, derail. So I should. Well,
No. Because I heard people talking about it. I didn't hear I heard like the first part when he talked about like the first 3 minutes. I didn't hear it in its entirety. I never seen it in its, but I did see it before, but I didn't hear it in its entirety. I saw it on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I am familiar with the thing. Then I also seen, well, what I did see was on other channels, people were giving reviews about it. So I heard most of it, but not the whole thing to the beginning and the end.
Well, to be honest with you, Deidre, hold on. Before I continue, let me make sure that the videotape was done. So,
Down.
all right, yeah, it's done. Oh, and for all that's coming in, today's subject is titled, "Is a serial baby maker a form of mental illness?"
Right.
Now, yes, this is something that no one has ever discussed ever on social media or YouTube or etc. But today, I am the chaos, and I must restore the order in which the world you live in today, to answer and put the question and to hopefully give an answer. So now, Deidre, I've seen this for the first time, and Mr. Daniels had an interview with this gentleman.
Yeah, I saw
girl,
part of that too. I saw some of that too, but go ahead.
And white girl had an interview with this man as well.
Right.
So it seemed to me, I tell you, everybody's doing everything impossible to get famous, to go viral.
Right.
Yes, he did get viral because everybody's talking about this. But here's the problem. Now, rumor is they say he lost his TikTok because they said it got taken away.
Yeah, because I saw it on TikTok.
But I don't know how true that is. But let's say that happened. My thing is this: how real or how much more proof do you need? Now, mind you, Deidre, you've been on enough sectors throughout social media and YouTube, and you notice there are ladies that, especially ones that hate black men, say they divest and all this stuff, and they go gobble the nutsack of non-black men. That's their business. That's cool. You can do that, But they point this brother here as the majority of all black men. And I'm thinking, what world you live, chick? And I'm going to try to be nice with my language tonight. I would say the word, but no. So my question, is this really a form of mental illness from your clinical perspective? The floor is yours.
My clinical opinion will postulate the fact that having multiple children and being apathetic about it is not necessarily his to me, lack of accountability and irresponsibleness is a function of other issues. But the act in itself of being with these women, having children, like he knowingly said, I didn't pull out, is not a form of mental illness. However, I do think that there are other potential issues that he are facing with that accompanies the fact that he has other problems. So in our essence, what I'm stating is his behavior to be irresponsible sexually is probably a function of other issues that have led him to be okay with engaging with women in this manner and not feeling guilty, not having having a lack of emotional connection, not only to the women but also his own children. Now, to me, there's some level of personality or I would say some level of cognitive issues in regards to him not understanding that he is responsible for his actions, whether he wants the children or not. Notice, whether or not you told women that I don't want children, I want to have sex with you. If you get pregnant and the woman agrees, you still engaged in the act with the understanding of if you have sex with women unprotected, it equals to children. You have engaged in this more than 7 times because he also paid for abortions. And so, and he's probably paid for a great deal of abortions outside of the 7 women who decided not to get an abortion. But you continue to engage in the same act knowing that it would lead to the same result. That in itself is there's some issues with his cognitive processing. So again, it's the act in itself is not a sign of mental illness, but there's obviously some other issues going on that leads him to act in this type of behavior. And that would be my assessment based on excuse me, based on the way he expressed himself, the way he you know didn't care what nobody thought, nor did he care about the women who have these children. He felt like the women were totally responsible because they laid down with him regardless of him saying he ain't worth shit. But still in all, you still have to be responsible for the fact that you still had sex with them regardless, and the fact that you chose not to use any protection or to engage in a manner to not get them pregnant. See, this speaks to the JI financial abortion uh, proposal, and this is basically how he is functioning, or that's how he's been characterized in this video, as far as wanting a financial abortion from the children that he seamlessly created 7 times. So the question is, when are you going to learn from your behavior? You didn't learn the first time. You didn't learn the second or the third.
He said never. And he's going to continue to engage in it, unfortunately.
Yes. And so he's going to continue to engage in behavior that he didn't learn from. And that's why I'm saying it's a function of some other issues. And people who usually engage in this type of behavior of sexual irresponsibility, it's usually somewhat symptomatic of family issues, either with his mother, father, both parents, in which they don't necessarily conceptualize a man's role in relationships and how a man is supposed to function, and that he pretty much devalues the women he's with, the children, and the fact of the mistake that he made in the process. And so that to me is problematic in itself. But again, it is symptomatic of some other things going on that allow him to continuously do this over and over and over again. And he has not been really held accountable for his actions.
Yeah. And to give you a heads up, and I wish that we had more time to give it an hour to just run the part with Antoine, conversation with the man. But I'll tell you what I can recall. And what I can recall from this conversation is he asked him some serious questions. And throughout his sexing with these ladies, that I guess from his word, he's been upfront and honest with them.
Right.
Engaged in sex and after sex. That some of them he knocked down, they're not just low-level Keishas on the average. Some are working women. Some that said it was married one time that he knew and it was married. She was having engagement and entanglement and she got knocked up.
Right.
And she didn't want to get rid of the child. So
right.
She puts the baby on her husband. When I heard that, bro, now I know the man has the issues. We all know this. But we give too much fuel to the fire. We're making this too easy. when you have low-level Negroes like this revealing what's really going on, which we already know what's going on in the community, but really it's just ridiculous. You get me?
Right.
That say if you in a marriage with your husband, respectfully, why are you going out here in these streets, risking your body, your soul, for a nigga that you know you're not gonna have nothing long term with? And not only that, you did this purposely because I guess you must find him somewhat or knew him to a point or attract him that said, I'm going to have his baby. And not only that, I don't believe in it. I'm not going to go through with it. And mind you, I think the husband might be aware. No, my fault. Let me tell you, he's not really aware that this could be his child. To let you know, I'm DDerell.
Right.
Now, personally, last time I checked in marriage, and I don't know the laws in depth, but usually infidelity, depending on the infidelity, if you as a man cheat and your wife find out, she could actually, depending on the state you're in, will take everything you got, including alimony, depending how long you've been married.
As long as he don't sign the birth certificate.
Okay. Oh wow, I did not know that.
Now, if you sign that birth certificate, you the father no matter what.
Oh wow, that's crazy. Woo!
Yes, as long as you don't sign the birth certificate.
Good. That's not good. Oh wow. Yeah. Go on. I'm listening.
Yes, the birth certificate cannot be reversed. Once you sign that birth certificate, that's forever till that person dies.
Oh, wow. Now, I said this before when I did content on this. And not right now in certain states, right now, as you know, DDerell, you're not familiar, especially in Washington, D.C., they are working right now hard at work to really start to really make it mandatory. Where before any signings or anything of finalization of the child, that they has to make sure that the child is actually that said father.
Right.
Now, personally, I asked certain questions to very few ladies that you could say no, but I just had a conversation with, saying if you were in a relationship, and I had to be asked because see people's females' reaction. And I'll be honest with you, DDerell, I could see why a lot of dudes now are afraid to ask the woman that they trust or whatever that, okay, she's pregnant, good. So when the baby comes or whatever, I want to know if it's my baby. The first thing that comes to their mind said, well, if you had to know that, and we go through and you test it, I'm going to have to leave you. And I'm thinking that's the thing that a lot of dudes are afraid of, especially they have real serious connection with that woman.
Right.
But remember, DNA test was never presented to us as public people until the last maybe 20 years. But it was really start utilized back in the 80s.
Yeah, the blood test. It started off with the blood test. The DNA stuff didn't start until like the late 90s, early 2000s. DNA testing became more prominent. So yeah. I want to answer this question about positive vibes.
All right, let me find it. Let me find it. Let me see this one. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to look at it.
Right there.
All right.
And so they say, can you explain the type of emotional damage that his children might experience when they see this viral video he did?
Excellent question. Excellent question.
And so my response, looking at the cognitive stages of children, being that he got 7 children, I don't know what the ages are, but if they're anything over 8 to 10 years older, being that they don't have a real relationship with him, they're probably in all essence not going to be that troubled by that because they don't have a relationship with him. It won't say that they don't have feelings, or they may feel ashamed, or they may feel sad, or they may suffer some level of depression. I mean, maybe feeling sad. I won't say clinically depressed, but they may feel some level of shame or depression and sadness. But he never was in any of his children's life, so they don't really know him. And they never seen him before, outside of their mother pointing out that this is your father. Now, well, I will say the absence of a father can cause some level of psychological and social and emotional damage. It all depends on the age. I don't know the age of his children. I'm going to say he got children between 8 and 12, 15 years old. Or whatever. I don't know. I'm just estimating. But if his children are like,
I'll tell you. There's only one child right now. He was on by record by live stream with when he was a guest panel or was a guest, said that he only could say one his child he vouched and does take care of. That's his. Is about to be either 4 or 5 years old now.
4 or 5 years old.
Yeah, between that.
Okay. So basically, that particular child that he takes care of, even at 5 years old, and saw this, would feel some level of sadness and shame by, even at that age, if they saw that this was that dad that they spent time with doing something that could be deemed very hurtful. So I don't know what the age of the other kids. They're probably old. I'm thinking teenage, early teens, preteen age. If they saw this, they would be greatly. It could be damaging to them as far as how they perceive adults and how they perceive their father, and asking the questions why he don't want us. Asking their mom why would you lay down with a guy like this? Was it true that he told you that he's not taking care of any children and you decided to still be with? See, these are some of the questions that a teenager or, in their late teens would ask. So it all depends on the age range. But in his situation, he did admit to the fact that he did speak. He did speak to. I mean, he did say that. He told these women this, and they still made the decision to sleep with him anyway. So the mom, I mean, everybody has to. Both parties that made the children have to be responsible, whether you want them or not. You still engaged in the act, and this is where he looks foolish because he fails to understand whether you want to take care of children or not. If you produce children, you're going to have to take care of them in some form or fashion.
And for those that's watching, welcome to the Castaway Show. You know the drill. You must smash or hit that like button. And also share this stream. Share is caring, please. Don't be afraid. This is for, real talk, real education talk. We're going to really deal with the subject and the real deep mental, psychological issues. And really, we have to deal with more in that fashion because for a man, and I'm not sure how old he is, I would take it he roughly might be 80s baby, mostly or less. I don't think he's nowhere a 90s. I doubt that. But for a man at this point in his life, and here's the secret, DDerell. He does come from a 2-parent household that own land that's doing very well.
Right.
And he's from Texas.
Oh, wow.
Houston. Oh, shit.
Oh, Houston. Oh.
Yes.
But see, Chaos, this is quite common in our community where we have men who have sex with women and they feel like they are not required to take care of children that they created.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And my fact of the matter is that this can be problematic in people who have relationships knowing these things. And it leads to messy interaction. This guy flat out said he cared nothing about his children or direct mail or anything in regards to them.
Not that. Oh, he don't care one flying crap. He was up in there just really actually pumping and actually dumping, if you want to think about it. Real Pookie-ish nature, behavior. Pumping and dumping. And personally, some of the women that he is pumping dump, and let's be honest, he said that he be getting these scares interacting with these ladies. Not only black women, but also non-black women, because he's knocking down some non-black women. And we could say on the average, he's knocking down the big chubby non-black women. Let's keep real. Because if he's slinging cock like that, then he's definitely hitting everybody, every race where he sees. And here's a little side note that you don't know. This dude does got an LLC and he does got a business. So let's say if anyone was to find out what he really is, finds information, he said it on live air on Miss Things, saying they can't collect no child support because he's protected by a corporation.
Interesting.
Ain't that something?
Yeah, it is.
So and I'm gonna give you a little heads up, DDerell. And this is something that people didn't really pay attention with Kevin Samuels. I don't like referencing, but I listened to his content for the last 2 years when he started transitioning from men to women. And one thing he said this about people that are so-called in a class of like a certain tier class, like a high value class per se, that certain circles, on the average, they will not mess with a guy like him because he's reckless, he's not structured, and he'll go mess around, go screw the dude's wives. If give and take, you get me? So people said that some men that have money that and he's established like he is, that he's free to do what he want and he's not gonna get no repercussions. There's always consequence for every action, ladies and gentlemen. You sling dick, and because you're not paying child support because you're hiding your name, which he firmly agrees, because he said the first thing he does when he meets these women, they don't know his action. He goes by name K, which is red flag. So I'm not sure why women would entertain having sex with him raw, knowing he's not gonna pull out. He said he's not gonna pull out anyway. Do you get me?
Right.
So he intentionally want to pregnant you.
In theory, that's what it appears to be.
Yeah. Alonzo, if you want, I could bring the link, have you come up in a little bit after me do DDerell talk. Is that cool, Alonzo? But let's continue. Yeah, because and no, it's funny I mentioned that because he said that on live air. And I'm thinking, ladies, this is why I tell you, just making these babies from any man, not just black men, but any man in general, you're going to have to reevaluate your direction of how you'll move in this environment.
Right.
The child support thing, how I look at it, is really ceasing to exist now. The way how the economy is going now.
Right.
Personally. And this dude, Margie, let me tell you something. It's sad I call him Pookie because it looks like he's a very smart dude from how he sounds dumb, but the way how he's doing what he's doing, he got his junk real set up real nicely, bro. And not only real set real nicely, but he's very reckless too.
Right.
So now this is what happens when a Negro is very confident in his actions. He said, not only I could do what I want, but I'm protected from my entity because I know a certain tricks here and there. So let a chick or a bitch try to trap me. First, you're not gonna find my actual name, and if you're able to go this far, you're not getting nothing from me because my entity only makes me $30K a year, but by the back end, I'm making more than that. See how that works? And that's what I pay attention to, detail. So any woman, and here's funny thing, a lot of people said after he showed his face on live air on a lot of these podcasts, that said someone's gonna find and tell his real name. It doesn't matter now because he tell you how he's gonna move and maneuver in this environment. He said he got the most coochie one time when he was broke. And now that he set up nicely with his own little small LLC, C corporation, and I'm not saying, I'm only going by what he has said on air. So I'm not going to deny that he's lying. Because let's be honest, a man that's doing what he's doing, very too confident in what he's telling his business, how he gets around personally. If he's telling you the tea, how he's doing what he's doing, and why he's not going to be stopped, you better pay attention to that. Personally. If you could wait before you say anything, DDerell, let me check Alonzo's comment. Let me look at it good. All right. A Schedule C or C Corp is on your personal tax return. Therefore, he's not protected from anything. People don't know. All right, good. And matter of fact, I'll bring the link now for hold on. Okay. Let me see.
Well, it's at your discretion to use it whatever way you feel pleased.
Yeah. Matter of fact. Oh yeah, you on the video? Okay. All right. I'll put it down anyway when you're ready. Alonzo, come be up here. I want to have this conversation. Yeah. So, like I said, DDerell.
Yeah, I'm here.
This, and here's the funny thing. He said that the most comments he got after that video, he got a lot of comments from the ladies that agree with him. The only people that gave him pushback. You want to know who gave him pushback?
Women, the people that
No, it was the men.
People that agree with what he said.
No, the men gave him pushback. They were chastising this dude on his actions. Like
right.
they were saying things, and he said he didn't give a crap because he's a grown man. He don't give what any man said to him. Imagine that.
Right, exactly. That's horrible.
So I'm not saying no man's out here checking other brothers, but I said this before, Deidre, and I'm gonna have to remind people before I end the stream that a man amongst a group of other men, right, our financial situation, we're not in no real position to check other brothers like that if they're doing this. And the only way a man's gonna really check another man is let me stop because it's you know I'm gonna say it's about to get serious. Anyway. Wait, someone wrote a comment. He had to grow up in a home that condones this behavior. I've seen it firsthand, no accountability, and used to someone's jumping to his foot. That too, Miss Denise Park, but it's deeper than that. He said his own family members, his father and his mother, was not really happy of his reckless behavior. But like Aphid, they can't say or do nothing to him because he's a grown adult. From his mouth. I'm just saying. Anyway, let me see. All right, let me bring Alonzo because I want him to explain some more detail. Alonzo, you there?
Yeah, what's going on? What's happening, Coach D? What's happening, Chaos?
What's up, Al?
Chilling.
To give you a background, he said it on another platform, non-black platform. You might know who she is. I'm talking about. He said that he's protected because he has certain corporations here and there. So if the lady or any ladies found out his actual identity, what his name is, and try to collect some, I guess, child support, which I think is useless at this point. If they're trying to get that, they're not getting much, but because what he puts down, wherever he makes 30 grand, this nonsense, that's what he says out his mouth. So, Alonso, because you're more a financial advisor, is there any validation for this? For some of this reckless behavior that some dudes will use certain corporations or certain things to shield himself from real assets and go ahead.
No. Number one, he doesn't have the assets necessary, right? I mean, I don't actually know what his assets situation are, but from the energy and the image that he's putting out there is kind of off. It's kind of like a lot of this LLC Twitter where they tell you to go get 5 LLCs and $150,000 in business credit, yet you haven't made a single sale, right? There's something called piercing the corporate veil, which is easy to do. And I obviously have relatives directly with the federal government.
Okay.
When you're looking at a Schedule C or a C Corp, it's something, and I have my PTIN, Prepares Tax Identification Number. So I actually am legally licensed to prepare taxes in all 50 states.
Okay.
And just to give you guys an idea of the credentials, just, so you guys understand that I have a grasp of what I'm speaking of.
Yeah.
There is some validity to protecting your assets with a C Corp. However, a Schedule C is what they call a flow through. Therefore, everything he makes is on his personal tax return, right? Because it's a C Corp. I'll give you an example. My name is Alonzo Hall. Guess what I file my taxes on? A Schedule C, because I'm self-employed. So technically, I'm a LLC or a C Corp myself. So yeah, it does allow me to write off some things as a business expense, so on and so forth. but it's still my personal taxes. So there's no not finding with an LLC, what you've got going on. To even take it a step further, someone in a profession like my own, or like Coach DDerell, who deals with basically like mental health and things, we would, as opposed to an LLC, we would get an LLP, which is a limited liability practice, because we are practitioners and we actually have credentials that allow us to do what it is that we do. Are you guys tracking me there?
Yeah, I'm trying to follow. Yeah, go ahead, but continue.
So, also, if he's saying, "Oh, I have all these write-offs and I only make 30,000," I want to ask a question, actually, Coach D. And I don't know if so. I guess I guess this is a question for anyone legally, because I don't think any of us practice law here. But
okay,
he does, in my opinion, he does realize that he's just made himself cannon fodder for child support with these women.
Of course,
because he has on video things of his irresponsibility. And to mention or piggyback off of what Coach D was saying earlier, he hasn't learned from this repeated pattern of behavior. However, if he was really and truly doing what he said he was, being upfront with it, instead of recording a video saying, "I don't care, I ain't taking care," why wouldn't he record the women and say, "Hey, Keisha, you sleeping with me right now, we gonna go raw dog, and if you get pregnant, I don't want a baby, I'm telling you right now, do you agree to this? Now it's on tape, you can't hide," because otherwise it's his word versus hers, and we know that the courts are in more favor of the women, and so he would have the burden of proving that. The next thing Coach D said was something that was very important, which was, if you have this, you produce a child, you have to take care of it, intentionally or not.
But,
and I equate that to crime. If we commit a crime together and I say, "Hey, listen, I ain't trying to catch no bodies while we going and doing this robbery, because I don't want to go to jail for murder," and then you shoot the guy and kill him, and I go to the police and I tell the police, "Hey, listen, I told him not to kill nobody." Well, guess what? I'm still going to jail as accessory to murder. So, like, the guy, he's doing all this is putting him in a precarious position. But financially, he's going to ruin himself, because he's putting himself in a position to be found. It's literally documented now that he said he's intentionally being careless with his seed. It's literally documented now and able to be extracted as evidence by any savvy paralegal or attorney. Hey, look, this guy is going on a I ain't nothing tour, and I intentionally got these women pregnant. He said he did it with over 200 women. So the question is this: yes, of this LLC. Yeah, he was on I think Anton's show saying that. But of this LLC and all this money he's supposedly making, there's two things: you either have time or money. You either have time or money, right? Because if you're making money, you don't have time to be running after and putting yourself in every hole that's available, right? For example, Coach D, you practice in several businesses, right? Yes, you get some downtime. I'm sure you have a good time. But for the most part, you've got more pressing matters. Am I inaccurate in that?
DDerell, I think he's asked a question.
Right.
Yeah, no, so this guy is unfortunately exposing himself, especially saying, "Oh, well, I've got an LLC, I'm protected from da 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 da." All that is like I said, cannon fodder for a good attorney. And all he's going to do is open himself up to uh, potential audits, because now $30,000 with many LLCs, depending on the field that he's saying he's working in, is not considered a reasonable salary. And, depending on the field and the area he works in. So a reasonable salary means that you pay yourself commensurate to what, the average of, people in that field would be paid. So $30,000 for him, okay, but depending on what he's doing. If he's a DJ, hey, that's pretty good money, right? Unless you're like, DJ Khaled or something, or Steve Aoki, right? But as just a regular DJ, 30 grand, okay, that's a reasonable salary. And then whatever else you make. But even just admitting to that 30 grand, that's a number that now can be attached to you. And now they can do things like subpoena your tax returns. They can subpoena your bank statements. You don't have to comply. They simply send a letter to Chase Bank and say, hey, this is the IRS. We need to see such and such and such and such. I actually know a situation where a guy was paying alimony, and she was receiving the alimony, but on his return, he was paying substantially more in alimony than she was reporting, because alimony is taxable. And from the divorce decree, his attorneys or his accountants tried to make it look like it was all alimony. But the divorce decree was part spousal support. He was also supposed to pay the mortgage and a bunch of other things. So what he did was, in trying to hide, opened up a can of worms and ended up losing more money than he intended. So he's not protecting himself from anything with just an LLC, especially because if you don't have assets to begin with, and you're not in a service-based business, either food or, doing somebody's hair, you really don't need an LLC. If you don't have a minimum of $60,000 in liquid assets, or own your home and have some assets that can be taken away from you, there's almost no point in having an LLC. The other thing that he didn't mention about having an LLC is the federal government sees any business entity, disregarded or other, that is not profitable for 3 out of 5 years as a hobby. So he thinks...
Can you repeat that again for people in the back? And before you repeat this, Alonso, see, I want people to be understanding and listen to me and notice well. In regards to YouTube, we do lengthy streams, 30-minute, wherever time.
Yeah, I'm here.
Be. No, don't worry. I'm saying something. That this is more of a learning thing than just the combo and piece, because we have to be a little bit serious in regards to when they talk about holding accountability and all this, which is sound good and dainty and all this crap, but we have to really understand the verbiage, the language, when men or women expose themselves on live air and think that they're cool and they just gonna get scot-free, knowing that the whole internet sees you. And these are the consequences if you're trying to go viral and you're doing things reckless that no one's going to see you. Think again. Now, right. You could repeat that, Alonso. I just want to let people know that. Sorry.
So, again, I'll start from the beginning of the assets that you should have if you're going to do an LLC. If you're going to have an LLC and you're not in a service business, meaning you're not preparing someone's food, where there can be, dispute or food poisoning or something, or you're not like in a direct customer serving base business, like you're doing their hair so you could burn them with the perm or something and immediately be sued. If you don't have, number one, a minimum of $60,000 of liquid assets, or at least the ownership of a home, there's really no need for an LLC, number one. Number two, the federal government sees any business entity, regardless of if it's a disregarded entity, which is what most LLCs are. They're considered a disregarded entity because most LLCs are single member LLCs, which are sole proprietorships. If it's not profitable for 3 out of 5 years of your tax filings, the IRS no longer sees that LLC as a business. It now labels it as a hobby. So a lot of those financial breaks and protections that you think you may have are now null and void.
Okay. And knowing this, like you said, it's a hobby, Alonzo. But frankly, most people when they start any business, usually it starts off as a hobby. Am I right? And eventually, hopefully, it'll grow to something. Oh no,
they'll usually start out as a hobby.
No. Most people start off looking to try to make some money.
Yeah, they start off trying to make money. It's usually what it usually is a dream. They dream of doing something. They had thoughts of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
And most of these businesses fail because they didn't do their due diligence on the research, and they don't account for disaster and bad things that could financially ruin the business. That's how most businesses fail. They don't account for problems. They don't account for crises that can occur that can affect the bottom line.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Also, with that is not hiring the right people or having the right people behind you to operate the business and things of that sort. That also contributes to that.
Okay.
As you know, DDerell, hiring people that requires money, and if people are starting off anything, mostly if they're sole proprietor, usually is yourself until you start making something to.
Well, then you shouldn't. You again. That's why I go with having the capital and doing your research, and that's a problem in the Black community because a lot of businesses that fail in the Black community are not carefully established, and that would basically results in businesses failing in the first 2 or 3 years or less is because of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I'm gonna give you an example. When I first went into business for myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this was back in 2008. I had 2 other partners, and we had a certain amount of money that we agreed to invest in the business.
Okay.
All 3 of us. And the money that we invested in the business was able to, whether we made 1 dime, it was able to basically bankroll the business without making a dime from anywhere else for about maybe 6 to 8 months. And
so you're a real business owner. Okay.
Yeah. And so even in that, we made some really, really bad mistakes in which we actually should have made money within if we would have done things properly as far as foreseeing certain issues, we should have made money within 3 months. We actually didn't start making money until about 10 months, almost maybe 10, 11 months within the business. And we lost money for the first 10 months. And so a lot of businesses that are like just one person, they have this dream that everything is going to go right and they don't account for things that can go wrong. Okay. So when those things go wrong, you can't afford the loss. You can't afford the loss. You end up making bad decisions. You end up trying to cut corners. You end up providing bad service or bad product or whatever else. And eventually, regardless of that, people are only going to see your business for what it is, not for what you want them to see it as.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a result, those businesses end up failing because people are going to see it as a poorly ran business. And this is the main reason why a lot of black people don't trust black businesses.
Mm.
I hate to say it. And the reason why they don't is because most people in our community start a business with not enough capital to outweigh the risk tolerance.
But
Damn.
but we gotta go back deeply, and personally, I gotta be fair here. That majority of any black business that could have been established here in the West America, some will never get off the ground because let's be honest, majority of black people don't got the funds or the necessary real resource.
That's not true. That's not true, Chaos.
I know. Let me finish. To even get the capital just to get something started. Now you said it's not true. Okay.
No, it's not. I'm gonna explain why it's not true. The reason why it's not true is because, unlike other people, black people refuse to have partners and multiple people, use their resources.
You mean like a network
to do things.
like a network? So one failed, you have a whole conglomerate of people to put their money together. That's what you mean? Like
no, what I mean is group economics, where you have partners.
Okay.
Group economics. And see, again, like you talked about, somebody trying to do something by themselves, which nothing is wrong with that as long as you have, again, it goes back to the capital. Another is now outside of the group economics, there are other ways in which you can obtain funding through the government and things of that sort, in which you can do your due diligence. I know it's a lot of paperwork. I know it may take longer.
Yes.
but you can still get those funds that people don't exercise. Other groups do.
You got a point there. One more thing I'd actually like to add on to that. So we know that 80% of all businesses, black owned or otherwise, fail in the first 3 years, or is it 5 years?
3 years.
But in the first 3 years. Part of that is, and this is difficult because, I think it's after that, it's like 40% that fail in the 5 year range.
Right.
But a lot of that happens to be because, especially black owned businesses don't get something called a business valuation.
Right.
So what ends up happening is when people change their company from a C Corp to an S Corp so you can actually have investors, they don't get the valuation of the business done by an accounting firm. Ironically enough, actually, if you get with a licensed financial professional, wink, wink, like myself, I have relationships with large attorney and accounting firms that all they do is business valuations. And like DDerell said, I know it's a lot of paperwork, but the paperwork is really what is necessary to keep you guys afloat. Because if you're intending for your business to grow and expand, paperwork starts to become a norm. Because as you grow, now you got to fill out paperwork for, I got to lease a new physical space, or I got to create an employee handbook, or I got to do this, or I got to, write our bylaws, our mission statement. Oh, now we have to have, if we do have investors, I have to take the meetings of the notes, the notes of the meetings, right? So paperwork is, no matter what business or what field I don't care if your business is picking up elephant poop after parades. Guess what? You're still going to have to file some form of paperwork. Just like you did to form the LLC or the incorporation or the S corp, right? But a business valuation is something that is very, very much lacking in many businesses, especially Black businesses. Even further, one of the things that I see is the acceptance of, or maybe heavily lax attitude that a lot of Black business owners have when it comes to their taxes and when they're dealing with accountants. I have a guy who keeps telling me he wants to start a certain investment account with me, but he only wants to fund it with 20 grand. And I'm like, okay, that's not a problem. We can do that. But he keeps saying, well, I got to wait until my accountant does my taxes. Well, bro, we started this conversation in November of 2022. It's March of 2023. Yet you are now telling me you're waiting for your accountant to find or do something with your 2021 tax return. So what ends up happening is we end up too lax on, like Coach D said, the paperwork. Because at this point, I don't even know if legally I can offer him this investment product because I need to see those tax returns because I believe it's an S corp. But then I also have to make sure that if I set this thing up for him, I'm not risking my license for $20,000, right? I can make more than that in a single transaction. Not that I do all the time, but I have. But these are the things that, as Black-owned businesses, we kind of have to focus on. But even the gentleman with the LLCs, he doesn't even I don't think what we do, and this is another thing. Oh, I've got LLCs. Well, do you have an exit strategy for your LLC? No. Do you know if you just let that LLC sit there and try to open another one, there's consequences for disregarded entities? You have to actually close out an LLC, right? Otherwise, you're required to file a corporate tax return every year, even if you made no money. It's an existing entity, so right. But again, we don't. So I highly doubt this dude has even filed the proper taxes because many of us don't. So then, even things like exit strategy or the passing down or bequeathing of those businesses to those said children he supposedly wants nothing to do with. Mm-hmm. Right? Because what happens in 20 years when he breaks his kneecaps and can't, jack up a car no more with, Homeboy's Carjacks LLC or whatever his job is that he doesn't want to tell anybody, but he has an LLC. Listen, when I was in Brooklyn, you know how many dudes I knew like him? Not with as many children's mothers, but used to be like, yeah, I'm self-employed, bro. I'm a barber. I ain't never, ever seen you cut hair once, bro, and we live next door to each other. I ain't never seen you go to the barber shop. I ain't never heard you mention lining nobody up. Mm-hmm. Everybody will at least mention one time, I gotta go to work. Even if you don't tell me what you do, you'll say you gotta go to work. So a lot of us often create these LLCs because we've heard of shell corporations. And that sounds like what he tried to do was buy a shell corporation, one that was already existent for probably 5 to 8 years, and it's already filed some tax returns. But you also open yourself up to a boatload of
audits,
plausible litigations. Audits in that. So he's really it's really reckless and it's really dangerous. And I really want to know what his mental status is. I wonder what the mental status of a lot of guys is when they do certain crazy stuff. right?
Oh,
And
you will never know. You will never know.
yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not perfect. I, till this day, do some crazy stuff, as we all do, because we're all human.
What's good? What's good, Amiri?
What's up, Amiri?
Amiri, what's happening, bro?
If you want to come up, you could. If you want, Amiri, continue.
But so I think, um, he has to, because if he's only pulling $30,000, he's going to have to justify, what are you paying employee salaries? What are you doing here? Right?
But can't they
Or are
forge
you,
it? Can't they forge
say again?
documents? Can't they forge some of these documents? And how they going to verify? That's the question. Since he's doing paperwork,
The federal government, it can easily verify all of that.
okay.
Yeah, you can forge documents to get a loan from maybe a private lender or even a big bank.
Mm-hmm.
Forged documents ain't getting through the IRS. It's not happening. Because they're going to be like, okay, well, let me take step 2. This says, 1, 2, 3. And well, let me call and verify, because they'll call and see, hey, I see here this invoice from, Homeboys Wrecking Crew LLC. Did you pay them, $25,000 last year? What are you talking? I've never done business with Homeboys Trucking LLC. What are you talking about? You don't have an invoice from them? You never paid this invoice here? No, ma'am, I've never paid that invoice. I'll show you my taxes. Because an invoice like that and a job like that would have been a write-off, because it would have been for whatever.
Facts.
Right? Like, I'll give you guys a brief example. So in my field, right, I don't drive. I'm a New Yorker, so I don't even have my driver's license. But if I take an Uber from my office to a client's house and back to the office, that's a free Uber ride for me, because that's a complete business write-off. So, but I can't turn around and be like, oh yeah, no, I drove from my house to the client's house, or I Ubered from my house to the client's house. That's not a tax write-off, right? Because I didn't go from my work to commute to the client. I went directly from home to commute with the client. So that's on me. Even if I drove, I can't take that mileage. I can't take that gas. So what's going to end up happening, and actually, ironically enough, salute to Amiri, he posted this. A lot of black men are unfortunately opening the Pandora's box for ourselves, because we are inaccurately preparing our taxes, or we're inaccurately writing things off.
Yes. That's a problem. That's a problem. Yeah.
So one of the things he could do, even, all these LLC, you might be saving yourself some money actually paying these child supports. Again, for that, this is not tax advice. Consult with your tax advisor or your accountant for that. However, these are just things that are in the realm of plausibility, right? Doesn't mean that he's doing them or not. Again, I really don't know the guy's financial situation, but bro, you've got to be kooky to go online and say, I got an LLC. You're never going to get nothing from me. Oh, you have an LLC. Okay. Well, let's see what state you're in. Let's see what LLCs were filed in the last XYZ years. There's always, like DDerell said, a paper trail.
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. A serious paper trail. And let's be honest. That's the one thing that, if you think about it, along with drug dealers, why they get busted after years of doing the drugs, selling to either this community or any community. Why they taking so long? Because they're just sitting back and waiting, watching as you do the destruction. They're just sitting there, writing, keeping track, keeping tabs, and eventually when it's tax time, they come collect you and gonna pay all that back for your hard labor. Because and that's why we look at most mobsters at the time. They know they were doing certain things that's illegal. So what's the best thing they do? They have to liquidate it by having these little corporations, little business, all that stuff. So they have some on paper that gives something to them.
Yeah.
The average hood dude, if you think about it, let's be honest, they just doing nigga shit, street shit. I think their Uncle Sam doesn't need their cut. Oh no, he needs his cut.
Oh, Uncle Sam wants his cut of it. He don't care if it's a dime bag in the park. He don't care if it's a nickel bag in the park. Shit,
yeah.
I'm gonna take it back to the days when I was hustling. He don't care if it's a tray bag of crack in the park.
Mm-hmm.
He want his cut. How do I know? Let me explain to you something. The federal government does not care what you do as long as you pay your taxes.
Your taxes.
They're not going to snitch on you as long as they get their cut. You can be like, yeah, I made $1 million selling crack last year. Here's your 38% or $380,000. Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
And they have a nice smile. Say, here's your receipt. Here you go.
No, your taxes are paid. No audit for you this year. Done. I speak about it all the time in terms of money laundering. In 2002, the 5 members of the Colombian cocaine cartel hid $80 million of drug money and life insurance policies. They were money laundering.
Of course.
Right? And that's what it sounds like this guy is admitting to when he says, oh, they can't get nothing from me because I got LLCs. But, I only show $30,000, but I make more than that. Oh, so you're money laundering, sir. Oh, you don't think we can find your IP address?
Just like
you don't think your IP... sorry, go ahead.
Just like the dude said, I have potentially more baby mamas out there, and some of them then couldn't track me down because they didn't know my actual name. And I'm telling people through live video broadcasts that I have C Corps, S Corps, LOCs that if they try to, they're only going to see 30K I make. That type of dumb shit, that nigga shit. Now that I think about it, and one person said it's best that people go to school with you, fam, dude. You think they don't know who you are once you're on these channels on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube? Continue.
No, so it's very easy for, especially, and this is for Black men. USAjobs.gov. The federal government is a great way for Black men to. The federal government actually loves Black men. And ironically enough, there are a boatload of Black Americans who work in the federal government in a multitude of sectors. And there's a great work-life balance. Again, it's www.usajobs.gov. Right? But we act like they can't just find his IP address. Wait, so especially because he was streaming from a cell phone, right? So they trace the IP address.
Yes, everybody's stream on the average is on phones, which I tell most content creators, I'm going to repeat this until it stops going from one ear to the next. Stop going live on your motherfucking phone, please, for the sake of God. If you have to, it should be very rare. But most time, if you're situated, have your systems ready and go live. At least keep it professional.
So once they find his IP address, they can then trace that. Oh, okay, so this phone was using this internet at this time. Let's go see who this phone is in the name of. Ding, hey, Verizon. Okay, so John Tucker. Ding. Oh, now we just look him up. Business in Miami, Florida, owned by John Tucker. Ding. Oh, there we go. Oh, he said he only made 30,000. I see here he made 78,000. Oh, and then somehow he took all these write-offs Hey, IRS, I know we're the FBI. We're a completely different entity, and we weren't even digging for this, but hey, you might want to check this guy out. See, there's little stuff in finances that the regular public don't know about, like an SAR, suspicious activity report. So this guy is definitely going spending $10,000 within a short period of time on frivolous things. Well, every time you do that,
sneakers, nice fitted hats,
yeah,
works. The nice shirt, come on, man. We gotta look fly, you know what I'm saying? I gotta keep this beard intact, I top my crap, I gotta look fly.
that's another thing that pisses me off about brothers.
Yeah.
We're encroaching. We're in our 40s or encroaching our 40s. It's time to take the baseball caps off. It's time to take the hoodies off. It's time to take the sagging jeans off. Let's wear a pair of slacks every once in a while. A button-up shirt every once in a while. Shit, even a crew neck shirt or a V-neck shirt or a turtleneck sweater. And look like grown-ass men. I'll give you an example. When I was in my 20s, and I used to dress like Young Jeezy in the oversized shirt that looks like a dress. I had a relative of mine say to me, and I was out struggling. I was like, yo, I can't find a job. It's because I'm black. And da-da-da-da-da. He was like, well, he said, maybe if you stop dressing like a fucking clown. This was my uncle. He was in his 50s at the time. I was like, excuse me? What you mean, man?
With Tim's and hats still? You serious?
Yeah, back then, Tim's, fitted cats, and all that. So he said, well, maybe if you stop dressing like a fucking clown, you could get a job at McDonald's. And I was like, what did you say? How dare you? Da-da-da-da-da. Then I changed it up. I still wear jeans. I'm not I am partially a suit and tie dude, but I like business casual. So I like a nice pair of jeans, a blazer, usually a V-neck t-shirt, right? I'm very casual, so it's just a t-shirt and jeans, right? What a lot of these dudes are wearing, except my t-shirt doesn't say Nietzsche across the front of it. Or, Balenciaga or whatever the flavor of the day is. That's for the 16-year-olds. It's ridiculous when we go outside and I can't tell the difference between a man who's 45 and a man who's 25 or a boy who's 15 because they all got on the same clothes. And yet we want to be taken seriously as professionals. If you 40, give up your mixtape dreams because the rap game ain't the same no more.
Say it ain't so, Alonzo. There's some dudes still on that trying to wait for that first breakout tune, that first breakout record, that first best hit.
Yeah, but they ain't even rapping like that. They still rapping like bars. Nobody wants to hear bars in today's age. They want to hear.
We're in the age of mumble rap. You must mumble when you talk. Shot, jewelry.
Hey. Yeah. But yeah, man, the mentality of this guy, it's the mentality of a lot of guys. And I understand where guys are like, well, look, the women gave him access. And this is true. But we also have to realize this, because when the women do get older, they do turn around and say, hey, I want a responsible man, but I've got all this baggage with me. Well, what we end up having to do as men is we have to come together collectively so that our women at a young age are not taught to praise what we're praising as older men. Because there's a lot of men like, well, these women, da-da-da-da. Nah, fuck that. This dude, number one, you, me, DDerell, everybody listening right now, these women, with these 7 women, are definitely going to get some form of public assistance. So that means that all of us are paying for the nuts he busts.
Well, you know, the Uncle Sam has to worry about everybody's taxpayer money is going somewhere into the state for these assistants. You know, that's one thing the other content you might know who I'm talking about and mention and say, I don't want to pay for it. And I'm saying, well, sorry, fella. You're gonna pay. A lot of people gonna pay, regardless you bust nut in that chick or not.
Man, we all paying for it.
Yes, we all paying
So
for it.
even him saying he not paying child support, okay, so you're not paying for your own, but if you have this LLC and you're filing taxes, you're paying for someone's, unless you're not paying taxes, which then opens you up to another audit. So, you know, I don't know if Amiri's still around. I don't mind if you want to come up and say something too. He be cooking sometimes, man. It'd be hilarious. But
Let's keep talking.
you know, I definitely also appreciate because yes, DDerell is verifiably in business, right? And he's mentioned a multitude of things that I've not heard a lot of quasi business owners mention, right? He said capital. We've got to go into it with capital. And if you don't, and here's the thing, Chaos, a lot of businesses really don't take a lot of capital to start. What ends up happening is
you said in a book. If you could let people know what book clarifies, you know, do you need the whole cow to get started with a lot of things, even with investment? I don't know if you want to refer to that.
you're talking about the book I was reading earlier, the Wealth Beyond Wall Street.
Yeah. You read it on your own channel. Yeah, when it mentioned particular parts, sentences, or paragraphs in a chapter. You got
Yeah. So I don't have the book in front of me right now, but in Wealth Beyond Wall Street, it was explaining, you know, there are avenues, and it doesn't take, you know, even tens of thousands. It could be $500 to really start a lot of businesses.
Really?
It's the proof of concept. Yeah, because what happens is people be like this. Oh, my whole family likes my mac and cheese. Let me go open an LLC and then get this $150,000 business loan. And then I'm going to sell mac and cheese. And then you get it. And it's, you know, Alonzo's mac and cheese shack. Now, all my family likes my mac and cheese. But then y'all come to the mac and cheese shack and y'all like, bro, why is the top of your mac and cheese blacker than my tires? Oh, it's the burnt crust top. Trust me, you'll love it. And you eat it and you're like, yeah, nah, I ain't never coming here again. Because I haven't proved the concept. You can start off by let me sell a couple plates to some people who ain't my family and see what they think about it. All right? And then you're actually building up the proof of concept. But again, back to this guy, man, it's foolhardy to go out and spew, hey, listen, I'm, you know, I this, that, and the third, it's only $30,000 that they gonna see. Well, no, that's $30,000 that the women might see, but their attorneys are gonna partner with accountants, and the accountants are gonna call the government, and the IRS or IRS is gonna, or they'll just get your transcript. Which
the arrogance to say that.
Yeah.
It was just ridiculous.
Well, I think you said it yourself, DDerell, the confidence, which, yeah, the arrogance to go up there and, yeah, they ain't going to get nothing. I got an LLC.
It's the cockiness saying, I'm good. I'm safe. No, you're not safe, bro. You're not. Oh, someone wrote in the chat room. Let me read this. Boy, you ain't lying. And when you got a little bit of
Crust
on it, even kids don't want to eat it. Yeah. I like crust. Anyway. Yeah, but you see, it only comes to the mind of this Negro that the arrogance has no boundaries. And here's the funny thing. The sad thing about Alonso earlier in the stream when I told DDerell's that there are some men that try to check on the message, all this stuff. And I say to no avail, he just don't give a crap. The women agree a good portion of that video he did, and a lot of dudes didn't agree with it because it marks every other black man like him.
Exactly.
And I'm at the point now. I said, black people, man. At the end of the day, and I can't keep pointing that as based on all of us now at this point because our people are very much too full of themselves. They think that within this group we're separated. There's individualism. So you have to think and operate as such individual person, and you're exempt from any action within the group. Even to the point where, if you remember DDerell, and I had to agree with you because, I said that, but I have not really, I'm not going to double down, but I'm going to agree with you that, yeah, there's capital out here for any black person, man, woman to start. So this is what the only problem is that a lot of people are not trusting with each other. So if you had to go to the big daddy government, you're going to be in deeper doo-doo because they're more interested as a whole to really fund their own, to preserve their own, period. And how we know? Because look at all the avenues. Look at all the red tape they put amongst black folks. I was listening to a stream, and a lot of the dudes that are intellects, which I respect, they still believe that this system is not racist to a point where you could just, now things are different, you as black person, you could get it, you could achieve this now. I'm saying, yeah, but the problem is if you're doing it and out from your way by yourself, you're not getting far. But if you work cohesive with other groups, other group men, some black men you could trust, or just work enough with, and it don't take a lot, but it takes just enough, you'll get a lot done. The susus, all these things that most people from the islands, from Africa, that follow to get things done. And not only that, they're first-time Americans that come here that the government will emphasize or incentivize because they're not really Americans here. Is if you're an indigenous person, FDA or Foundation Black American, wherever, if the group within itself is not in alliance to help bring forth your vision and to fund it by any means necessary, rather it's going to sink or swim, nothing will get done. Matter of fact, it will not even have no life. It'll be dead by arrival. That's the only.
Like DDerell said, subgroup economics.
Yeah.
Right? So what often doesn't happen is this. I have a business idea. You have the ability to execute, and DDerell has the money. Now I go, hey, Chaos, I got this idea. And you're like, well, I can, get it out there to people and I can do blah, blah, blah. But we ain't got the money to get the advertising. So we need to go to DDerell to get the money. DDerell says, okay, I'll give you the money, but I want my name on it. Man, listen, it's my idea. Why you got to have your name on it?
Right.
Because you putting up the fucking money.
And not only that, you putting up the risk. But you see, Amir, I wish you up here, Mary. I want you to tell the story again. Because this is the same thing he as well. And I'm not going to tell the whole story because Mary will better suit to tell it from his own mouth. This is the biggest issue when it comes to working with other people, especially other black folks, especially black men. They want the rewards without putting no input. What world do you live in, you delusional nigga? I think we watch too much TV. We live in too much in this little fairy tale of a world we live in, personally, because a lot of our people think that I want the biggest outcome, but I want to do less work. No, you will do work, and you're going to do more work, and even the amount of work you put in, there's no guarantee of greater outcomes. Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. So you go.
Well, even further, again, time is money, right? So if this guy has LLCs and he wants his business to thrive at all, guess what most business owners end up doing? Most business owners end up working 80 hours a week so that they don't have to work 40 hours a week for someone else.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right.
Got work double.
Yeah. All too often in our community, we end up working, we want to work 4 hours a week so we don't have to work 40 hours a week for someone else.
Yeah, that's not gonna work.
Well, no, there's a guy who wrote a book called The 4-Hour Work Week. That should work.
The 40-hour work week.
Mhm.
To be personally honest with you, I heard about that book. That book. I have the PDF, and I think it's an audio book too.
It works in theory, not in practice.
I'm very skeptical of that. Skeptical for that personally, and the reason why is because, well, if you write a book on this, it tells me you already got your business established, and you're trying to water it down to tell other people that never did what you did to get where they're at, to say just do 4 hours and that's it. Now I'm not sure what he does for a living, but when I look at the metrics of it, the math doesn't make, it's not mathing.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't got nothing like that. If you don't got the resource, yeah, you're gonna, at 4 hours not gonna cut it.
Right.
The only way you're going to work 4 hours a week is for a business to fully operate, and you have to have great management.
That's it.
And even then, if you really want to care about your business, you're going to be looking at the day-to-day operations and the input, as far as the revenue coming in and out. Just that alone takes more than 4 hours. So, I mean,
DDerell, you don't know what you're talking about. You've only owned multiple businesses. How you gonna tell me? None.
hey, Alonzo, you'd be surprised how many people actually told me I don't know what I'm talking about. I have heard this for like 3 to 5 years, man. You don't know what you're talking about, DDerell.
The reason
you've only actually owned a couple businesses, right? So how don't you know what you're talking about?
Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about.
You gotta understand, DDerell, they're not gonna respect you personally because you're a black man that doesn't have a certain issue mentally because you're living test and proof. You walk it every day. I mean, you have marriage, relationships, and you work within the community. And very little black people, men and women especially, we're not really involved like that, unfortunately. Just be honest. We do the normal things. We work, we might go home, we might party, and that's it. We're not really involved in the community. Personally, to be honest with y'all. When I hear someone that's actually said he's doing this, I could see the pushback because personally, it's lacking what they will never do. So they're gonna criticize you. That's why when you come out with your own sense of knowledge from what your perspectives, from what you read, and you read the material every day, and especially the data and all stuff properly, and you had to sit there correct, especially the dudes, they're supposed to give you pushback because the narrative has to stick that no, we gotta keep pushing this narrative because it works. Not only it works, but it's gonna get other young black men or men that's our age to accept it, so that way they'll sit back and pretty much do nothing but keep complaining. Hell, this is therapy if you think about it. All I do is complain too much so they don't sit there hurt themselves, which I don't know how that's possible, but what I know. It's like seeing an actual therapist. But
well, as I've told them, that YouTube is not to be a replacement for therapy. But again, what do I know?
what do we know?
Exactly. You're only actually practiced in that field, right? So there's no way you can know what you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
But even further, so yes, people start these businesses, and I'm in my man cave right now, so you guys are probably going to hear it echo.
Okay.
But in, like, I don't know, it's crazy because again, with with businesses, right? Even like they don't properly get the proper funding. They don't account properly. And it opens themselves up. So this dude is definitely opening himself up to get beat, bludgeoned, and brutally battered by the system, the court system. And he's, in chasing clout for some YouTube likes, if you really didn't care about them children, there's something you can legally do to actually have a financial abortion, gentlemen. It's called signing over your parental rights.
I'm not sure I want to go into detail of that. I like to hit you up later for that. We're not gonna go into that since that's
okay.
And the reason why, personally, Alonzo Hall, I'm at the point that majority of black men, if they are said they don't have children by 50%, sign over your rights or ways to do so. That's irrelevant because last time I checked, majority of black men said we're not the problem. Last time I checked, and I'll take their word for gospel for now. But let's say the dudes that do have children, you really want to be responsible anyway, because let's be honest, we all like it raw, a good portion of us, regardless. They said where it comes. No, screw it, guys. Let's be honest. It's like old dirty bastard said it best. Ooh, baby, I like it raw. Ooh, baby, I like it raw.
Shimmy, yeah.
What? What you say?
Shimmy, yeah.
Yeah. Why would an old dirty bastard say that he likes it raw? Because most dudes said it ain't good unless you get it raw. And let's be honest, like the dude said in his own words, most women don't, require him putting on a condom. So I had to question some of the nature of some of these ladies. Shame on you ladies that's sitting there, you just letting any man, black man or any man, even non-black man, because they too, that you just let him go in it raw, just skimmy dip in that, just jump in there head first. Wait. Oh wait. Coach just said something. Okay, let me read this. You see that, Alonzo?
You cannot sign over your financial
responsibility. Yeah, but if you're signing over away your parental rights, my understanding is you're waiving all attachment.
Okay.
All so right. Yeah. But
right.
I'm not.
Yeah, but we're not going
an expert in that, so I don't know.
Yeah, we're not going to detail that. All right, Alonzo. Thank you for coming up. I want to ask DDerell one last question. You could go in the back chat.
No.
I'll talk to you if you can.
All right.
Now, DDerell, to wrap this wonderful night up, if you're there, what are the solutions for any man that's experiencing this, or ways that he could do to actually improve, so that way he could either control or limit his activity if he's in his mindset of, is going around and just shoot up the club without any feeling? What steps or directions do you think he should take, or any man should take, if they're having a problem?
You mean a problem of sexual control?
No, I mean just general of any action behavior. Say, I just like what I do, and at times I think I don't want to do it, but I just keep engaging it. Somebody will come to help and they tell you their problem.
Well, a person like that should, to me, a person like that actually, in my opinion, needs to be in therapy to reflect on and to gain some insight on why they're making these mistakes. And they have to understand how these mistakes are influencing the mothers and also is detrimental to the child's development. So this guy has to, number one, learn to care about others, not just himself. And that's a character flaw. That's a personality flaw that can be processed and evaluated and approved through therapy. So that, to me, is the first thing. If you look at the video, this guy had no feelings towards the mothers. He didn't give a damn about his own children. He didn't care about the whereabouts, the lack of these kids having a comfortable life. And he has to take responsibility. Those things have to be processed. And if he's not going to internally learn that he needs to change on his own, I think therapy would be a best course of action. Once he's achieved that, if this guy was able to go to therapy, I would say about 6 months, 3 to 6 months of therapy would be sufficient, if not more. Then we're going to have to look at avoiding situations and environments where you meet women like this who don't mind having sex and being irresponsible with their body. I'm talking about the club. You may want to minimum. I'm not saying you can't have fun, but you don't need to be in environments where you know you can pick up women easily and have sex with them. Okay. Also, I would also in consequence to that, learn to have a real, genuine, productive relationship. Attempt to practice some level of monogamy with one woman, at least. Try to have a loving relationship, a meaningful relationship, and not try to overcompensate for some other issues with having sex. Because that's what I really feel that he's doing. So I'm proposing that. I'm proposing to minimize your existence in areas where you can meet these kind of women, that you know where you can meet and pick up women or women like this. If you are going to date, have a long-term monogamous relationship. He needs to practice monogamy because this recklessness is not working for you financially. And then lastly, he needs to understand, I got to take care of 7 children. So I need to, again, this goes back to you caring about your children. You need to improve your economics, whether it's by entrepreneurship, another job, or whatever, so that you can adequately take care of your children. That's what I would propose for him personally. Now, would he think that he should do that? I doubt it, but that's where I would start. But he has to learn to care about more people outside of himself, and the fact of what his behavior has done to be harmful to his own children. These are his children. Whether you ain't want them or not, you shouldn't have had sex with these women.
Mm-hmm. Raw.
And you said, yeah, I ain't taking it out. Regardless of what the woman allowed. See, this is what people have to understand. Regardless of what a woman consent you to do, regardless of the position you are in life, it doesn't discount you from your responsibility. I don't give a damn if you just got out of prison and you had 10 felonies on your record and the woman was fine with having sex with you and you got her pregnant. Well, then you still, regardless of how hard it's going to be for you to find a job with 10 felonies, that is still your responsibility. So we cannot put this on women. Just because a woman allows you to do something, regardless of what you told, you still are responsible because you went engaged in the act. And legally, there's nothing you can do about that. If those children are yours, I don't give a damn if you on death row for 10. I mean, those still your children. And that's the problem with this man. He's immature. And he's not looking at things logically. And the sad thing about this is that there are other women that probably would watch this and they would still have sex with him.
Bro, I wouldn't be surprised his inbox got lit because let's be honest. From looking at the guys just face alone.
Maybe, yeah, but you know what?
Go ahead.
If he got 5 other women pregnant, regardless of how ignorant they were to make that decision, he's still responsible for those 5 new children. You're
Yeah.
still responsible. And
Yeah.
nothing can make that go away.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And here's the funny thing about it. When even with him saying that the woman had to tell, and you know, it amazed me. And I heard this notion constantly. And you hear some of the dudes in the space say this too. And this guy said, well, she should tell me to put on a condom. Bro,
No, nobody has to
listen, this guy came from a 2-family household. If I'm not sure if they're still teaching sex ed, and I think he might be a millennial. I will guess he is. Born 80s, maybe early 90s. I don't know. He's a millennial. That I'm not sure what's going on here. But if you as a man at a certain age have to wait for women to tell you put on condom, you lost. I'm sorry, you lost. You just lost. There's no ifs, buts around that shit. Because think about this. Because Roe v. Wade was turned back, right? And one state said that you're going to start paying the minute the woman got consent, right? Now imagine if every other state starts making a conscious effort now to really, really punish more men. More, right? Are you going to really feel comfortable? And here's the funny thing about DDerell. Because Alonso said this earlier about these corporations they do try and be under so they could show what they actually make on paper so they don't pay if they are forced for child support. I'm thinking, do you think in the future that you're going to be safe? Listen to this nigga and think you should go, that's the route you should go as a man? Especially here in the world, especially in America? No, I won't be comfortable thinking that I'm going to be shielded from responsibility. If we're at that point as men now, say that's the way to go, then I would say maybe y'all better off going outside the country where there's no law at all for now, and do this bastard baby making, because that's what you're showing the world what you really are. You out here just making babies and don't want nothing to do with it. We know the white man does it, but God knows when we do as Negroes and we not in no position power wise enough, it's problematic. We'll get more punishment than everybody else.
Right.
And as a race of men, when you're not at a certain position of real power, you're gonna get all the bunks of punishment by other men. And all you can do is throw your hands and walk the other way. Right. Now, Coach wrote something in the chat room. Let me read this. In cases of adoption, maybe, but outside of that, you can choose not to exercise legal rights as a father, but not the financial. Courts have already determined this. Now, Miss Koja, Alonso is not in a certain business or any knowledge of how to do so. He just said it on the air. That's why I stopped him there, because I don't want to have that information out here. Rather, it could be useful or not. And the reason why, because there's too many men, and you know it's firsthand, DDerell, that a lot of dudes trying to evade actual responsibilities. Child support is getting off easy. That's why I've never really gotten so much frills said that there's certain laws should be put in place where they don't pay child support or whatever case may be. But I would agree that they should have the right to know it was their child so they could start do the necessity to own up to their responsibilities. That I have to agree with. You get me? That a lot of them will not like. You get me?
Right.
Because maternity fraud is a crime in certain parts outside America, but is growing heavily here now in America, where even, like I said, I had conversations with women, and you might have conversations wherever, and a lot of women are not really comfortable want their future husband or baby mama or baby father, to sit there ask to make sure if that's their kid. And they said, and they give their mate an ultimatum, said, if we go through this, the relationship's done. It tells me this is where we at as people, that we cannot move loosely now. This is not the 50s. This is not the 60s. This is not the 70s. This is not even the 80s or 90s. We're in the 21st century now. The first 20 years of the 21st century. So will all laws put in favor either for or against men or for against women? Every person should utilize every resource in their disposal to make sure everything is right. And I think most of us as people are very immature not to use all resource possible, so we don't complain about the outcomes. And we should not be chastised either to exercise these our options, to really figure out, make sure everything is put into place. Because last time I checked, no person today, whether most dudes like or not, or ladies like or not, no one else be want to deal with no child that at least is not theirs. And we don't live in those days anymore where, we just sit there, we take any baby now. We want to make sure it's ours. Now, if it's not ours, then it should be a decision what the man should do with you, with this kid that's
Right.
not. It should be in its right. But if you as woman, you're not at that direction comfortable with it, and they start putting laws to really protect the man in that fashion, you should not complain about that. Because last time I checked, there's no really protection law, because this is a patriarchy and men are going to pay regardless, right? So if he's going to pay, at least let it be his, to be fair.
Right.
If it's on, man up. That's all. And I see other choice was or get out of the area.
Right.
Let me read this last comment. Or get out of the area that won't hire you and go somewhere where they will. And so I think now they have certain places in certain states, I could be wrong, where they could clean up your criminal record. I'd started seeing certain facilities have this. That's what I'm hearing. I see it firsthand. So, I mean, if you have a criminal record, try to look and Google any resource that will let you expunge some of your criminal record. I mean, I'm not saying it's not guaranteed, but they have it now, so it's for a reason. I could be wrong, but I think that's it, DDerell. This was a very good show. I hope people got some out of this.
Right.
Thank you for giving your knowledge from a clinical perspective.
Alrighty.
And everything else. And let everybody know that you have a channel now, and you have ladies now, have the question with the coach and how to date mate in the
Coach DDerell channel. Check it out. It's the hot new dating channel that's very, very different, with someone that has saved marriages and relationships in real life. So go check it out, subscribe, please share, check out the videos. I think you'll like it. It'll definitely give you some perspective on dating and relationships, marriage in the 21st century.
Oh yes, indeed. I would advise everybody to check it out. I like it so far, and DDerell got something, guys. So if I vouch for it, I mean, y'all know, trust me. So thanks, DDerell. We're looking forward to future shows on other topics, and like I said, I might make a series of this depending on the severity, because I don't mind people giving certain people, a voice and giving people certain shine. But we had to look at the clinical aspects of things, because to sit there chastise a man or woman that engage in degenerate behavior amongst the community, we got to go into the real deep problems of why we do what we do, because if we don't understand it, and solutions, because there has to be solutions to everything. A lot of people think that therapy is solution. No, it's what therapy you're seeking. You get me?
Right.
Because there's something more deep wrong with you, that you have a disconnect between the mother and the child. And he said it best off his own mouth, that if he said that if you have no liking on the mother, you damn sure not gonna like the child. So why are you her then?
Right.
If you don't like the mother, you should not be putting it in here. Correct? Why? See, people don't understand. This is where we're insane. If I don't like something, why want to interact with it? I want nothing to do with it.
Right.
That tells me I'm insane. I'm retarded.
Right.
The last thing I want to do is deal with anything that I don't like. But it tells you you're thinking in a lower form, low level thinking.
Right.
That's not any intellect. That's animalistic behavior. That's a brute. That's a buck mentality. So that's it. Thank you, DDerell. We'll talk.
All right, man. Y'all have a great day. Peace.
All right, guys. Thank y'all for watching the stream. I'll be looking forward in the comment sections for this one. And don't be scared, guys. Leave a comment at the end of this video. Oh, if y'all donate, let me find it. 1 second. I'm trying to find it. If you're so kind, if you respect the today's stream, give a little coins here and there. I would appreciate it. Like everything else, everything has to go back to this channel anyway. And like always, if you want to follow me, the social media links to follow Chaos Rain Show, you can follow me at Twitter at Chaos Rain 7. Add me as a friend on Facebook, Eric Rain on Facebook. What else? Oh, follow me on Rumble, please. And I will put the links to follow me in the description. Want to build Rumble up over there. And last but not least, join the Discord service of the Chaos Rain Show. And I think that's all the links. So, like always, people, be on lookout for the next live stream. Until next time, let it chaos rain.